Okay, we're live.
Yep, we're live. The YouTube is on.
So, hi all.
Should we go now?
Yep.
Let me share my screen. Okay, guys. I mean, finally, there were people in the community like about 40 minutes ago who finally discovered that the main network is not producing blocks. And as you can see in the TON Live, it's actually going on from 2048, 28, let's say 21st of June, which is 2 days ago. So this is correct. The main network right now is down, and I will explain now what happened, what will happen, and so on and so forth. And I'm ready to answer any questions you may have. So what happened? Well, that's my time, of course. So it's maybe different. So this is the CET +1 time zone 2048, 28. We got an election, and then we got a key block, which this one 501. This is a key block that went out. This key block signifies, what is important about the key block is this key block signifies the change of the validator set. So we got a new validator set, this one, as you can see, from 2048, 21. Okay, so this is what happened. I mean, the validator set has changed from 46 to 33, which doesn't matter. But then if you can see here, the shard chain blocks, these are the shard chain blocks with 0 2 points. And the shard chain blocks stopped, we're not producing any more shard chain blocks from 501. We produced just 2 master chain blocks and we stalled. What happened is on that point, most of the validators went down, basically with assert crash, and the network has stolen. So of course we were basically more or less not sleeping for the last 2 days, as you can imagine, and we of course we tried to fix this quickly. Obviously, quick fix meaning just continue with the block. So first of all, let me tell you the state of the network. So we have a backups. We have the validator sets are all kind of online, and the database is backupped. So nothing happened to the network in the respect of the data. So everything is there. And now it's only the question of when and how we are going to restart this. Now, one important thing is that on these last 2 blocks, which went out, and actually inside the master, the key block itself, there are no transactions, meaning that it's only the system transactions for TikTok, and there is no transfer of any funds or anything like that. So this is a good news. I will explain a little bit later why. So what we have done, so we didn't have time for researching too much on that, and we started to kind of make a little bit of research, whatever we could do. And what we in this 2 days. So what we figured out is, and this is no way, I'm not blaming anyone and nothing like that. I mean, I think this is totally valid situation. And what happened is that several of our validators of the network, beloved validators, decided for whatever reason, and it's of course their right to do that, to upgrade the node. Instead of taking that node software from main TON dev repository on the GitHub, to take it instead from TON org repository, latest commit. This commit changes the way a shard chain blocks set of validators written into the blockchain. And unfortunately, what happened was that after the key block 501, the new shard chain was producing two kind of, in parallel, two kind of blocks. And that's, of course, couldn't work. So everything started to fall, and during the hashes of the blocks didn't connect, and basically what was committed to master chain blocks was wrong, and the network, basically validators just didn't accept that and went down. So we tried quick patches, and thank you very much all our validators for participating over the last 2 days in the attempts of quick fix for this. So we kind of we made 2 or 3 patches during that time, and tried to restore it. Of course, there is either you do the research or you try to do the patch. So these patches didn't work. They did work as expected, but the problem lay deeper than we thought, and so now we have basically stopped attempts and started the research again, going deeper. And now this is what we know more or less what happened. And now we're looking into the best way to process this in a correct form. I don't want to say restart the network, because the network, as we see now, it should not be restarted. So it's like kind of will continue. The question is how and from what. Probably the blocks 502 and 503 will be rewritten, and that in a way will create some sort of fork from 501. But again, since we don't think this is very crucial, because these transactions, these 2 last blocks didn't have any transactions inside, so no balances or any other value has been passed into there is no account changes, so we don't think this is critical. But of course, it's not something we are going to decide now. We will have a discussion whenever we are ready to proceed with this. And now we are not in a hurry. So again, everything, all the backups are saved. The network is, whenever we're ready, it will be just continued. So in that respect, of course, this is not a big issue. The problem, of course, is what we're going to do about this kind of situations going forward, and that's another discussion altogether that we need to have. The question why the patch of last patch from TON.org was not on all the validators, and that's because we have agreed on a way to apply patches to the network or to the node software. And so we said it's first will be tested on developer networks, and then we'll go to the mainnet. So, but what we didn't do is we didn't actually, we didn't kind of shield the main network from this kind of things, okay? And that's a problem. We need to think about how we do that, increase the version of the node software and so on and so forth. There are mechanisms in there, and maybe these mechanisms are not enough by themselves. Maybe we need to create more. It's definitely something to think about. And this, again, as every accident like that, it's a great way to learning experience, basically. And there are things that we need to, to learn from there and to apply further. So so these are 2 things we're going to do. First thing is to restore the network, and second thing to think about the procedures and what we can do in the code right now, more or less. So about the patch itself, about the latest, one of the things we wanted to do and still want to do inside the validators contest is to have an code upgrade live as part of the contest, and we're going to do that. So all the validators will be asked next week, in the next stage, to update their node software. This update will include particularly that last patch of the C++ node and so on. So that was the plan altogether. Unfortunately, accident happened before we could do that properly. And so, yeah, so this is the situation. If you have any questions, just shoot them. I said as much as I know, more or less, but please,
Okay. So let me just, so thank you, Mita. Thank you for covering that right away. Obviously, there were a lot of questions. And judging by some of the comments and chat groups in the forum, I know we're going to have a lot of questions today. But let's just quickly cover the rest of the agenda. So this obviously is what you're talking about is related to the validators contest, which is the crystal game contest. We're just going to cover a little more. There were some comments about certain disparities for game 2 participants, right? So we'll have you, Mita, or somebody else maybe talk a little bit about that. We're also going to talk about progress and issues with judging contests. Okay, so that's also a very important point. Pavel Progolovko was going to talk about a contest for slashing conditions that was just introduced yesterday, I believe last night. And in our traditional fashion, we're going to have Q&A at the end. We're going to have YouTube Q&A. We're going to have, we already have some write-in questions. So we'll do some of that. And obviously we'll have questions after each presentation within the conference call itself. So without wasting any more time, because I know that a lot of you are anxious, let's talk about some of the commentary regarding game 2 participants. I understand that they feel slighted to some effect. Mitya, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So first of all, it's our fault. It was Sunday, and our DevOps were falling asleep, literally. Despite the fact that we had the plan for shutting down our validators on Sunday, that what we should have been doing, and if we would do that, there would be no issue. Just for we didn't do that, and I even can't start blaming again anyone from my team. It's just I don't have heart for that. Taking into account what they are putting in right now. So so I won't, but I definitely agree that this is not just in a way, even despite the fact that, and again, my comments in the chat was not about like that I'm saying we shouldn't do anything about that. What I said that if the validators would listen carefully to what's happening in the chats and apply the everything, the latest scripts, for example, and so on, and also utilize their stake, then we wouldn't have that problem. But again, it's not to say that that it's an excuse for not doing anything. I never said that. I said we need to discuss that, and probably we need to do something about that. So I just wanted to clarify my position on that. So I do agree that we need to do something. There are proposals. I think all of them are good proposals. Just let's community decide which one you want to take. Correct it. I heard prolonging for 1 day for one validate for this network, for just this validator set of this people who were in this group, or getting them, just adding them the average. There are several proposals like that, and I think Sergey, which he's on the call, and Sergey I think can talk more about them. I'm fine with whatever you decide, guys.
Thank you for addressing that. I think that was very important. Sergey, did you have anything to add to that?
Okay. Hi. I can't say much more than Mitya said. We have several options how to handle this issue. So basically, we could, the organizer could vote to grant the people who meet the first round in the game 1 rating point, or we could just start counting their metrics 1 cycle later, as it was proposed. What I don't want is any hard coding on the leaderboard for particular set of validators, because then we would lose any trust in our leaderboard. So it should be something easy and transparent. And if we are going to grant any additional extra points to them, then should be some kind of voting from the organizers. If we are going to move the start of counting and basically the timing of the contest for the game 2, then it should be a kind of voting from the participant in games 2, because I don't know, maybe the other 88 participants in the game would be objected to this proposal. So basically, there are several ways how to deal with this issue, and we need to decide, and we have time, because moving timing and counting backwards from the different time, we can do it anytime.
Okay.
I think organizing some vote inside this group of validators is a great idea for whatever proposal is there, and let's them decide. Why not? I totally, for example, agree.
And as long as we're on the subject, I know Isaac, I promised you the floor. If you want to ask some questions, make some comments, please. We're waiting for them.
I think most of the questions I have been mentioned, so not much to say.
Okay, Isaac, thank you.
Thank you for reaching out, and we feel a valued member, so thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. That's great to hear. Okay.
Yeah, but it's something fishy is here, like Isaac. Like previous incident, you were in this 200 addresses. Now you're in this group. I'm starting to worry. Like, anyway, that's a joke.
Never 200 addresses. It was just one address.
Ports. Sorry, ports.
Yeah, ports. I guess we're really unlucky.
Well, I hope that stops now. I don't know.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right. Okay. If there's anything else to talk about regarding the Crystal game, go ahead. If not, let's move on to talk about contest judging and the progress there.
Yes, let me share some news. I guess that almost all judges now developed scores. And we hope to apply those scores as soon as mainnet resume working. So, I mean, hopefully, this week results will be calculated, and then we'll do announce with those results. We faced a number of issues which we'll take into account in new contest. So first of all, we had to do some extensions because first extensions were motivated by problems in interface where people were not able to do submissions. Then there were some extensions when we thought that it was not much time people to participate. And what my personal view is that actually extensions is is a bad thing to do, because it demotivates people to meet initial deadlines, who met initial deadlines. It demotivates them, and also it creates a problem when further participants can copy some applications from previous applicants, and this is also a big problem, because then it increase the, say, burden or for jurors. They need to compare those submissions and understand what is the original one. So at the moment, we will handle this in that set of contests, but for further contests, we will probably, I mean, we discussed it already, that probably will create mechanisms that applications will not be visible before end of contest. This is a way to prevent copy pasting, and this is the way how we can guarantee that it is fair story. So
I'll also add to that and just say that I'll take partial responsibility for that, because obviously I was the first to lobby for extensions, and it was just out of the kindness of my heart. You know, it's just the kind of person I am. What can I say? I'm an angel. And so I kind of was the first to throw the snowball down the hill, and by the time it got to the bottom, it was an avalanche. So yeah, I agree. Extensions are just not feasible. It's not realistic. It can't work under those conditions.
Yeah, we probably will make longer contest time, initial time, and we will be more. It will be organized better, so we do not miss starting open submission period, because again, previously we missed the time when submission opened by the approved contest, but they were not possible in interface to do this. So I mean, hopefully next set will be done in a much better organized way. Okay, then there were some questions about the voting itself. For example, there was a question in groups I saw about airdrop contest, where initially it was designed to that juries send votes for participants. The question actually at the end, we have now voting with score from 0 to 10. And actually there is a reason for that, but I agree with critics in the groups that we didn't announce that change. And moreover, I mean, what is important that we didn't now officially approved it. So again, since it is our first experience in that process, we will some stuff we will have to post-approve through governance, because we see the support. So we understand that it should not be a problem, but of course, technically it's not right. Again, I hope that we will not have to do this again in the future. But especially for airdrop contest, the reason why we should had to change the way of judging contest, because we have about 14-15 judges, and there are 59 applications, and if and just arithmetically it is not possible to arrange those applications if judge can select only one application. So that's why we implemented scores, and you should take into account that it's not like just putting in Excel those scores. I mean, it's all on blockchain. So it means that we had to develop new contract, to deploy new contract. So that's also took some time. Yeah, sorry then for a little bit misleading initial contest description. As you know, as you can see, it was approved more than a month ago, and we will vote for all technical changes in recent days, in coming days. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. That actually answers a lot of questions, I think. I don't want to skip ahead, but there was a question specifically related to this that was a write-in question from Daniil Zholobov, who says, and I quote, "Hi, I have a question about the voting system. Evaluating works from 0 to 10 is a very rude," he says, "approach, as it does not give exhaustive information. I propose a more detailed voting system where grades are given based on several criteria. Is it possible to take the criteria specified in the contest conditions on the example of the airdrop contest and add things like most effective idea, security, symbol to follow instructions, most resourceful use of ton crystals distribution? Keeping in mind that the long-term goal is to have 1 billion distributed. Jury should also write a short comment on each proposal so that it is visible and that they have reviewed it. This way voting will make the results more objective, so we will be able to choose the best option for the airdrop." So let me quickly say that actually the comments or feedback from judges, that's something that we've already done. So it's going to work. You're going to see it in just a little bit. And I can tell you that the contests that are being voted on now will have replies. So
yeah, I comment. So yeah, it will have a joint reply from all judges, but in the future we will provide ability to each judge to leave his or her own comment. And what I agree that structure of putting scores should be for different contests. Probably it should be structured in a better way. Again, this is experience we had. For example, for DevOps contest, we had like 6 or 7 categories, at least some judges. So, but again, we try to start from quite straightforward and simple contests where you can more or less put one score. Probably, going forward, we will do more flexible way of judging submissions. It's very reasonable. Thanks for your comment. We come to the same conclusions as you, by the way. So again, next set of contests we will try to do in a much better way.
Yeah, and I think also just in the interim, while we're relegated to yes, no, or 0 through 10, adding a few more criteria to the submissions that are being requested in the contest is a good idea. So maybe it's important to write the contests with a much more detailed request, which in that case, the commentary that will be left behind the rating would address each one of those criteria. So yes. Agreed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Pavel. All right, moving on. So I guess, well, first of all, any questions? No? Okay, great. So now let's talk about the slashing conditions design contest, since you have the floor already.
We now moving. We started preparing new contests, and this is one of the very important contests. We would like to, first of all, before developing slashing condition rules, or before developing code, we would like to agree on specification. And we know that there is some experience in other POS blockchains, how slashing condition was implemented, what results those networks got out of it. So we decided to have a contest for people who would like to analyze experience of different blockchains, take into account current code and current design which we have in TON, and make a proposal. Again, this is the first contest. Yeah, actually, the first one was that SME specification, but okay, it's a second contest where we do some TON, try to get as a result TON improvement proposal. Probably first one which will affect initial design as a result. So we will put it on the forum today. Let's give some time to discuss, and everyone please comment. And again, hope we'll start it quite soon.
All right. Thank you, Pavel. Thank you for that. That is, I think, pretty much what we have on the agenda. Does anybody have anything to
I want to comment on the so we will have more. Actually, we were kind of the plan was by today to propose several proposals for the developers, particularly contests. But since we had a kind of a hell of a week last week, this network DevNet problems and validator contests that need to be started, and now we had this accident with the mainnet. I didn't have time to finalize them. So, but I hope that by our next call, that will be more contests, because as I said, part of these contests are important part of the validators for the Crystal game, such as bug bounty, for example, contest and stuff like that. So it's a depth now. I went to the technical depth category, and hope to close this in the next few days.
Of course.
We'll propose this. Yeah.
Good.
And
Good. Great.
I said that we, with that experience, we finalized the current version of the governance process. We have now juries which are more or less in line in criteria and in judging process. So we are ready to initiate many contests,
Which is a great thing. All right. All right. At this point, I'd like to first open the floor for questions to the people inside the Zoom call. Does anybody have any questions, comments, suggestions? You sure? Okay. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay. All right. Let's, in that case, we move on to YouTube. Now, with YouTube questions, I see we have English and Russian questions. So here's how we'll handle it. I'm going to do the English questions now. And then Roman, if you can then, after me, start from the beginning with the Russian questions, that would be terrific. Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Okay. All right. So let's begin. Is this a question or a comment? Regardless of what the final decision will be, thank you guys for taking this seriously and not following updates in the channel. Looks like some validators might have a full-time job offline. Yes, sorry. Thank you for your comment. Yes, you are correct. And I appreciate it. Alex Novikov asks, question about the TON Crystal game, or excuse me, the Crystal game. It looks like looks like the further you are geographically in the sense of ping time from the core of the network, then the more blocks you're missing to sign as a validator.
Yeah. Well, there is no core of the network because the validators for now of the core validators which started the network are all switched off. So there is no core. Of course there is an effect, a geographic location has on some protocols. Probably we had almost a month with great work by Stanislav, for example, with geolocation data about the validators and so forth. You definitely could learn from this about where more or less nodes are, and definitely kind of it you know, this is not like if we want to run, if we would want to run the, say, crystal game in the settings where everyone is equal, we would do the following. We would tell you, this is the configuration you need to take, this is the data center you need to be in, and this is, you know, this is the provider you need to work with. Okay, that would create perfectly same conditions for everyone, and everyone would have the same result, and we would not have probably the game. The whole point of this game is to work around decentralization idea. You being let's say far away from some other nodes, and this has nothing to do with the core, it's part of the game, and I only can thank you for doing this. I mean, really, because this is important that that we have a vast geographical distribution, and in the main network, your ability to work from there is kind of important for this, from the censorship resistance standpoint, from also supporting the additional validators that can run online and synchronize on full nodes that synchronizes near you from you, and that creates definitely you know, a more kind of evenly distributed network. But for the game itself, yeah, if you just run a validator, it's somewhere in Alaska right now, you would be in disadvantage. I mean, if you take the uplink to the satellite and use this as your channel to the rest of the network, you definitely will miss a lot of blocks, like almost all of them. So, but that's kind of expected. So yeah, that's part of the game, because again, the game is also about performance of the network, this blockchain, and you will see that, I promise you, in the next stages of the game, you will see that this blockchain is about performance, and this is one of the main characteristics of this blockchain, and you will see why, by the way, also, I think very vividly. So I hope so. And so yeah, this should be taken as part of consideration, and that this is part of the game. Because if you are far away, and if you have like inferior hardware, and if you have inferior channel, you will be, you know, basically you will slow down the network. So you missing the blocks, meaning that the network is trying to preserve the performance. Right, so because the timings there, the timings of the block validation time frames and stuff like that are all tuned for the performance, and yeah, I mean, there is no way around this, I guess.
And he's got a second part of the question, which you did answer, but I want to voice it because he took the time to write it. As he says, are you going to make? Is there going to be any kind of compensation with regard to this?
And no, because this is part of the game. This is actually the game. Like, so you can think about relocating.
Relocating. He's saying because
not you relocating, your node's relocating.
Right.
It's not the same.
You know, I know. Move.
You move your flat won't help. I don't know.
Reload. No. That's what I meant. Because he says it sort of contradicts the idea of distribution.
Yeah, it's a balance. It's the balance we need to strike, like between the decentralized network, and I think this network, this in terms of technology, can handle that. It does handle that actually right now, because we have, you know, all over the world. We'll see how it performs, but we have the validators all over the world. But we need to strike the balance. We're not Ethereum 2.0. which will have 60,000 nodes distributed all around the world on the shitty computers with the shitty internet connection. So what do you think the performance will be? Like, that's the whole thing, right? So there is this a band and between like the total decentralization and greater the amounts of nodes and so on and so forth, and between the we still have this a goal of 1 million transactions per second. 1 million transactions per second is something Kafka bus cannot do. in one location. So just think about that. This is incredibly hard to do. Some say impossible. So yeah, there is a band. You need to live in these time kind of slots, and so yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I hope that answers your question, Alex. We have another question. Says, what was the reason to run the first 13 validators with a max factor of 2? And then he says, regarding the validator contents, I think he means contests.
The 13 validators, just forget about them. They're not participating in any contest. They just start the network. So just disregard. They're not participating anymore.
All right. So Sports Mania says, in the contest, there are some submissions that have not received any points. Are they disqualified? Nothing's disqualified. If it's a 0, it's either because the file couldn't open or because, like in my case, I can tell you I've read some of the submissions for certain contests, and I saw that, for instance, one was a submission that I think was mistakenly put into one contest when I absolutely certain it was meant for another. So that's going to be a 0. They're not disqualified, but 0 is the
disqualified.
Same thing. But right, I mean, but if I saw a submission for an ICO in a contest that dealt with decentralized promotion. That's a 0. Not because it's a bad submission, but because it has nothing to do with the contest. But in a lot of cases, I'm finding that some of the PDFs don't open, and obviously there's nothing we can do about that. So you have to make sure your PDF is good and we can read it. So so I hope that answers that. And then Alex, for who you just answered the question, he says, okay, got it. So the contest is against the network distribution itself.
No, it's not against the network distribution. But as I said before, it's in this narrow band, okay? It's like not one, it's not binary. It has several answers. That because engineering is a compromise, that. It's a science of compromise. And you cannot just have 1 or 2. If you go for the full decentralization like Ethereum, you won't have a performance, period. There's no way around that currently with the current physics of light. I don't know. So you don't need to choose between extreme decentralization in that way, like a extreme because it's just an aspect of decentralization, not whole decentralization. We're talking about just nodes. Nodes are not full decentralization aspect of that. In proof of work, it might be the case. In proof of stake, it's not necessarily, and that's why we have a depool design. And so other people, millions of people can participate, have a vote, participate in staking without actually physically holding the node. Right. So by creating this additional layer, this is our way. I don't know. This is a Freeton way of decentralization. We have a set of validators. Why do we have 1,000 validators in the whole set? Why do we have 100 validators only? We tried. Why do we have 100 validators to validate master chain? Why do we have 7 validators to validate shard chain? Why do we have all these restrictions? It would be great if we could have 100,000 nodes validating master chain and then 700 nodes validating shard chains. Yeah, but except for it won't produce a block in 1 or 2 seconds. It won't. Nothing can, help that. So it's a balance between a decentralization and the amount of decentralization you need to apply to the network for it to be decentralized and censorship resistant, and the amount of performance you need to have in this network. So it's a band. You have to be inside the band of this compromises you have to do, and it's not binary. So it's not that this contest is against decentralization or this network is against decentralization. No, it would be against decentralization. I would say, like in EOS, okay, we have 30 nodes, we know who they are, and and you stake with them or you don't stake at all. That's against decentralization, period. Absolutely. But I think, again, I think that's what we're saying is quite different.
And in the spirit of trying to beat a dead horse, there's also another question that's continuing with this line of questioning. Says, oh, okay, so we should all then run servers in the same data centers. That'll help decentralization. Haha.
No, that would help performance. You see what I'm saying? That would help performance. Absolutely, it would help performance, but it would not help decentralization. So you need to have both. Yeah. So you need to have a network which can withstand a sufficient amount of decentralization of its nodes while being very performant. That's a requirement, and that's what technology is doing. And I think it's successfully doing so, because 1,000 nodes is definitely pretty decentralized in my view. And 100 nodes of master chain, how to deal with them, it's actually, and that is some of the proposals that I want to propose as a design change for the TON, for example, technology-wise, is to have rotation of 100 validators inside for the master chain more often, and not just to elect them for a whole period, for example. And that's something I want to really propose to change, because it will affect decentralization. But it still need to be in this performance criteria. Otherwise, we just lose what this blockchain is about from the technical standpoint, right? It's a backend for creating really user-friendly applications for millions or potentially billions of people. That's what Freeton is about. We should not forget about that as well. So yeah, it should be decentralized, censorship resistant, but very fast. So
yeah. I'm going to take one more English question here, and then continue to write your questions. Please do. But after I read this question, get an answer to it, I think I'm going to hand it over to Roman, because there's a lot of people from the Russian-speaking community that are asking questions, and I think we want to just go ahead and address that. But I do want to remind everybody that there's a separate stream. There's a separate
tomorrow
announcement.
Right?
Yeah, it's tomorrow at, I believe, what was it, 6 p.m. Central European time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so feel free to ask your questions in Russian, but just so you understand, we try to separate, and we have a Russian stream once every 2 weeks. So just keep that in mind. With that being said, so here's the question: what about connection with the official forum? Because proposals were taken from that forum. Does the jury compare proposal popularity in the official forum? Okay. So the official forum is where you propose your contests, and the popularity is essentially what is looked at to determine whether the contest has viability in the official proposal. Once the contest is proposed, submissions are made. Contests are judged based on the submission. It has nothing to do with its popularity in the forum, because that was already taken into account before it became a contest. So
yeah, I think it was popularity submission
popularity. Oh, well, that's not what he's saying. He's saying, in other words, do the judges refer to the forum to gauge the contest's, the proposal's popularity? The answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
Popularity, I think he meant. Yeah.
It was meant
for she,
submission. And okay, I can comment that I think in DevOps contest, we took into account reaction of community for proposal and for actually for submissions, and it's a good idea. And going forward, it should be one of criteria. And probably again, once new platform will be developed for governance, it will be somehow automatically calculated. At the moment, it depends on judge, personal judge opinion. But yeah, it's a good practice, and we should look, of course, judges should read reaction of the community.
I guess that's that's exemplary of anything in life. You get a traffic ticket, you go in front of a judge. One judge lets you walk, the other judge charges you $100. It's up to the judge, and every judge is different. So I think the thing here is to just stick to the criteria written in the contest description.
Yeah, I also have to say that the platform that the guys are working on, which I'm a part of in terms of consulting and participating in the design of this, probably will answer some of this also. So
yeah, that's right.
Once we present that, and there will be definitely some additional ways of input, providing input for the community, and also more transparent way for judges, choosing judges, and so on and so forth.
Okay, so there are more English questions. I'm going to, again, Anesthesia Burton, Sports Mania. I'll answer your questions. We'll get back to the English. Let's take a few moments here and let Roman deal with the Russian questions. There's quite a few, so please hang in there. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Let's start from the questions from YouTube. Спрашивает Расим Рахманов, вопрос Q&A. Почему до сих пор в чатах сообщества не было информации о проблемах в главной сети? Мы узнаем об этом из других источников. Насколько это правильно?
Да, Рома, у тебя немножко пошуршит микрофон. Просто...
And guys, please speak in English. You just back translate into English.
So should I answer in English? Or?
Of course, otherwise,
okay.
People cannot understand.
So the question was why we didn't, why nobody said in the channels about the problems with the mainnet, and the answer is why nobody did say anything in the channels.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have the same question, Rasim. Same question to you. Why nobody said anything in the channels? I mean, the only difference with some other is that I didn't go and say anything in the channels personally, because that would be the only candidate, because I knew about the problems, and of course spend my time on trying to resolve these questions, and of course our engineers also did the same, and definitely not commenting in the channels too much, definitely not last 2 days. So I guess it's a question to the community, why nobody, why did it take so long for you guys to realize there is a problem with mainnet? Why nobody has posed this question inside any channels? No idea, frankly. Рома, ты если что-то говоришь, тебя не слышно.
Да.
Зависит от
Yeah. The next question is when validators are going to finish the voting and we can see the results of this.
Yeah, we have a weekly meeting of juries. It will happen after this call. I hope everyone is ready now with their scores. And again, once mainnet, or actually it's better call it better net, because it goes through stages to mainnet. Once it will resume working, then we will vote and you'll see final results.
Yeah, I hope we can do it soon, but I don't want to rush. So it's now up to us in terms of the network restoring. But we'll take our time now. We won't rush. We did rush for this 2 days and tried to restore it. It didn't happen. So now it will, we will run experiments internally, because we don't want to put too much burden on validators, running all these patches and then we're doing all the testing. So we have already created a test network inside for this particular problem. We're going to first test it there, and once also only we are, certain that it's, probability are high that the network will be restored from this patch, then we'll apply. And also we need to discuss with the validators about the nature of this patch, because obviously if this patch will require a sort of forking, like even for 2 blocks, we still need to vote for this. For all the validators need to vote for this. So yeah, definitely will take some time, a few days at least.
Is there any deadline, and the system might make a decision that if you reach the limit, I cannot wait anymore? That's enough.
You mean the blockchain probably timing for?
Yeah, like smart contracts.
No, it was
No.
question about voting and voting for submissions. At the moment, we don't have time limit, but again, for future
Oh,
contests,
inside the contract, but since the network is not producing any more blocks, then it won't matter.
we at the same time for future contest, we will have some designed limits for voting. So again, first set we didn't put any commitments, because again, it also some governance interface, which were under development, and but going forward, we will have limits.
And can I just interject, because that actually answers the same question that was just asked in English by Nami. Hi, Nami. Good to see you. Why don't we define a contest about the problem of voting in jury and winner selection process? That's actually under construction. Again, you guys got to remember, we're only...
Wait. There is a contest, idea management system. There was a contest.
Yeah, there's that too.
So yes, we did do the contest for that. Absolutely.
He participated in it too. I know that for a fact. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it is under construction. Absolutely. That's not something that we haven't thought of, but IMS was one of them. Sorry, back to you, Roman.
The next question is, do we really need the subscribe to the main channels on the airdrop mechanics, or we can delete this point that we should only subscribe the DOT?
Yeah, declaration of decentralization.
Decentralization, yeah.
My personal opinion. Okay, first of all, it was contest for mechanics. We collected ideas, great ideas, and it could be, those ideas can be used to perform airdrop with whatever requirements governments will decide. So it's not. It doesn't mean that those requirements are 100% defined. So we will finalize requirements for airdrop after some internal discussion. I mean, sorry, internal. I mean, so there are some great ideas. So we will, before making some final decision on what airdrops mechanics will be implemented, of course, will put on the forum some mechanics we think which solves all those problems, because I think the probably best mechanics where you can take parts from different submissions, and the plan going forward to do some trial token distributions. But again, all this can happen only after validators contest ends, when we will add validators to the network, and when they will be the network will be sufficiently decentralized. Because ideas which we collected right now, it was for better decisions in the future, but not for implementation right now. Roma.
The next question is Andrei Riltsev is asking, is there any instructions, because I cannot understand what is Freeton and what should I do with this block transaction and so on. I think that Andrei, you can see the website ton.do and you can find all information there. Another question.
The ton.dev you said, right?
Yeah. Another question is, I have two similar nodes. This absolutely similar configuration, logic, and other. They're absolutely clones. And the first node has a position 4 in the leaderboard. The second one has a position 15 in the leaderboard. Is it a random or how it's going on? I didn't understand.
Who is asking this? What's the name? Sorry, I missed the name.
Stepan.
Stepan. Hi, Stepan. Why won't you go to the forum and read exactly the formula on how the validators contest is calculated in the leaderboard? There are formulas there. And so
Mitya, I guess the question is that why two exact nodes have different results? Yeah.
Because how do I know?
Yeah, Mitya. I think the better answer is that without load, every node runs in a comfort way. But when loads will be in the network, then you'll see the difference, more difference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, if you're asking about why there is no difference, then it's because it's not a lot of blocks you're validating, and if you're in the same conditions, you should be probably more or less the same. But sometimes your computer, your server can do something and miss a block. Your network can have some congestions outside. It's a UDP traffic, remember. Outside of that, there's some router problems, some bridge problems somewhere, whatever. So yeah, you might have missing the blocks, and particularly if you're on some how would I put it, just in a gentle terms, like if you have less reliable infrastructure, less reliable provider, less reliable network, and so on and so forth. So the uncertainties around block propagation may be more. So if you like sitting on a very good backbone, really close with optical, routers for the great provider with the great specs on your node, probably you will miss less. That's kind of expected.
Yes, and difference in rating now, if you see it's actually difference in place in leaderboard, very small difference in rating. Again, this is because there's no load. But once there will be load, you will start crashing, and then difference will be more significant in rating.
The next question from Stanislav, he's asking, what's about to make high load on the first and second week, for example, on the 15-20 minutes?
It's precisely for the reason you're asking this question. Let me put it this way. Can I do that? Can I answer like that?
There are different ratings you can get on each stage. So the higher load, the better rating points you'll get. The more rating points you'll get on that week, being in top.
No, because the question was about why can't we try? Like, why can't we see? Well, precisely because of this is the game. I mean, we have provided all the information. Now you have to do the extrapolation and choose your best tactics. And if we would give you all the tools, then what would differentiate people from each other? I think that's a part of the game. I mean, you have to be ready. You don't know everything. Like some parts you don't know. You have no idea, actually. That's part of the game.
Sort of a best of the best type of thing.
Well, make it a little bit interesting. I mean, otherwise everything will be predictable. Like you predictably know what your server, how it should be doing. Like you predictably know that this infrastructure is good or this infrastructure is bad.
The next question from Finder Rome. He asking, can anybody can comment that winner selection up to 300 highest rated winners who achieve the minimal rating threshold will be selected out of all those who participate. If less than 300 achieve this threshold, then only that number of winners will reserve rewards. MRT should be calculated as 35% of average rating for all participants. So that's mean that 35% of average rating of participants. At this moment, rating of participants from 0.87 up to 0. And we suggest that the average rating will be 0.7. And if we calculate, there will be 0.245 rating should achieve to be in that leaderboard. Is that working right there? Correct?
Может быть, все-таки зачитывать вопрос по-русски в оригинале?
Let me give it a shot.
I can for sure, but
let me give it a shot. So I mean, it's more of a comment with a question at the end. So basically, what he's saying is right now, winner selection is up to 300 of the highest rated winners who achieve the minimal rating threshold, or MRT, are going to be selected out of those who participate. If there are less than 300 that achieve this threshold, then the only number of winners will receive rewards. The MRT should be calculated at 35% of the average rating for all participants. Then he's basically saying that's 35% from the average rating of all who participate, which this rating right now is from 0.97 to 0. So let's assume that the average is 0.7. Then we take 0.7, multiply it by 0.35, and we come up with 0.245, or just less than 25%. With this rating, we have to get, hold on.
Ron, I think it's more for discussion on the forum. I mean, it's very hard to understand.
Yeah, we can't run through this right now. Yeah, I think post it on the forum and under the contest rules section, and Sergey will be happy to answer this there. I'm sure.
Yeah,
let's not.
And also, you're trying now to calculate who will be the winner just for one day of the contest, but again, there will be much more interesting things going forward. So don't think that it will be the same tight scores between places.
Roman, is that all for the Russian questions?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
More, yeah. Is there average points for the 4 weeks, or will be counted each one?
Yeah, each one. It's also been on the forum, obviously. The leaderboard is for each cycle. Will have its own leaderboard with its points calculation.
The second question is the Magister Ludi title will be given for top 30 participants in each network or for everyone.
I think that's we need to discuss. No?
Actually, I didn't get the difference. I mean, we will select winners in each. So yeah, in each game there will be winners. This is it. So we'll do sum of all points for each participant in each game, and then based on that sum, we'll rate in each game participants.
Is he maybe asking who receives the title of Magister?
Yes, on the title,
Yeah, he's assuming that Magister Ludi is like Master Jedi, like who receives the. You want to explain that, Mitya?
Yeah. Well, no, I'm tempting to say, but
Master Jedi.
No, Magister Ludi is better than Master Jedi in my view. But yeah, all the winners will get Magister Ludi title. It doesn't. You don't need to be just one. It's not in the title.
It's not seed story.
Yeah, it's not one master. It's just a master of the game. So it can be many masters of the game. It's like a grandmaster in chess and stuff like that. You don't need to be one. It's not about being a champion of the world of validators, because we're in the network. We're collaborative. We're in the collaborative game part of the theory. if you know what I mean. So it's there should be many masters of the game, not one.
The next question from Rasim: if there will be any formulas for the token distribution, because there were mentioned that prizes will be from 60,000 up to 120,000 tons. I would like to know if there any if there any difference between the final price and the position in their ratings. For example, top 25 will get 120,000 tons or more. The same questions from the deadline and the size of the stakes, which will be distributed via DPOO.
Yeah, the idea is to make it more or less linear to the rating, to final rating. So difference will be based on the total rating, and it will be more or less linear. So correlation between final rating you get and the reward which you'll get.
So that's all. Ron, we can move on.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Thank you for your help there. Appreciate it. I got a question from Anastasia Burton. And yes, I am saying anesthesia. It's not Anastasia. The name is anesthesia. It is an anesthetic. This is actually a very good question. So regarding contests. So let's say after all the submissions have been calculated and the average points have been derived, what if two contestants have the same amount of average points? So everybody one person got a 7 and the other person got an average of 7. What happens in terms of distribution of tokens? Who wins what?
Yeah, probably the most obvious and fair way to do to make the decision. You just take places, you sum prices for those places, and just divide the number of equal rated participants. This is it.
I could also add that
Is
the
it clear?
chances are approximately equal that an asteroid will fall.
No. It's not about.
What did he say? What did he say?
It's not about validator.
The chances for the validators contest to be in the same place is like the chance of the asteroid falling on the Earth.
Oh.
For validators, I think so, but I guess for
the other contests,
other contests,
it's a valid question.
So we'll just, as I answered, some prices and then divide on number of participants with equal rating.
Okay, so and we should probably include that in whoever's submitting a contest proposal should probably state that in the description. But that's a valid question, very valid question.
I see that very soon we will have very big book of rules, and there is common sense behind those stories. So this is quite obvious way to solve that problem.
All right. Sportsmania is asking, and I guess this is a follow-up to the earlier question. He says, actually, there are some submissions with 0 points and some with no points at all. Could it be due to wallet addresses? As Broxus wallet has different types of addresses and they don't receive any points. I don't know.
Yeah, points received not by addresses which you present. Other addresses you present, it's for prices. Points received by smart contracts which deployed at first jury, when first jury votes or rates the submission. I'm not sure that there are now submissions without rating yet. Sometime before it was looked like that, but there was an update in front end, and in the first version, zeros were not presented at all. Then it was changed, and when you jury puts 0 mark, then it just shows 0. I will check that. I'll check about existing submissions, but I think all submissions already had some votes from juries.
All right. On that note, I don't see any more new questions coming in. I want to just give everyone on the call yet one more opportunity to either ask a question or make a comment. So if you do have something to say, please say it. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Yes, no, maybe so.
I have one comment from the validators who are listening to me right now. We're running an experiment right now about restoring the network currently. And if you can, please, we're missing 10 nodes. Please do restart your nodes right away if you hear my message. Thank you.
Yes, otherwise I'll be writing to you all independently. I'll be PMing you all day.
Which I think validators will, from contest, misinterpreted.
No. Okay, no validators from the game, from the Crystal game. I'm talking about the validators of the main network.
Okay, everybody, thank you so very much again for coming. We hope to see you again next week on Tuesday. We really would like for our validators and for our users from all over the world to please come. We really want to have you again. Language group admins, please come. Africa, Korea, Malaysia, everyone. We want to see you. We really do. All right. Thank you very much. And goodbye.
Thanks, guys, and see you.
Bye, everybody.
Tomorrow. I guess see you tomorrow for the Russian language stream, correct?
Yes, see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. set
Okay.
time.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Bye.